Hi, I'm Alan Elshire, Director of Social Media and Marketing at the one and only Marine Military Academy. Today, my guest is Dr. John Butler. He's the Dean of Academics and the Business Manager for the Marine Military Academy. Our focus today is on programs designed to ensure academic excellence, improvement, and choice. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elshire. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's first talk about those programs that we have for cadets that focus on academic excellence.
Absolutely. You know, when you think of the Marine Military Academy, the first thing that should jump to your mind is excellence, whether we're talking about academics, military, athletics, personal development, it just doesn't matter. The Marine Corps ethos, the Marine Corps standard is excellence, and that's what we're all about. When we look at academics from that perspective, I think the first place you have to start is with our advanced placement program. As most people probably know, the advanced placement program is standardized and validated by the College Board, the same folks who bring us the Scholastic Aptitude Test, the SAT. They really know what they're doing, and a lot's changed there in the last couple of years. It used to be to where you could just name any course you wanted to as long as they offered the advanced placement test, advanced placement. And they said, you know, if we're talking about excellence, we don't think we can do that anymore. And so anymore, what you have to do is go through a fairly rigorous process with the College Board to not only certify your teacher to have a College Board advanced placement course, but also the curriculum, the assignments that are given, the type of experiences, the textbook that's used. All of that is now reviewed and certified by the College Board to ensure that our advanced placement program meets that standard. And I'm very, very pleased to say that we have a wide variety of choices for our boys when it comes to advanced placement. We have English 3, English 4, calculus, physics, chemistry, U.S. history, Spanish, and Mandarinese are all course offerings that we offer that fit under the advanced placement program. When we talk about excellence in those programs, I'm very, very pleased to say that the Marine Military Academy requires every single one of our students that's in those classes to take the advanced placement exam, because we use that to validate our instruction, to ensure that what we're doing is providing them the best opportunity to succeed, not only here at the Marine Military Academy, but at the top tier universities that our boys tend to like to apply to and gain acceptance into. Our standardized scores on the advanced placement exam are typically well above national averages. And I think that's something that we can really be proud of. I think it speaks to the quality of our cadets, and it speaks to the dedication of both the academic staff and the military staff to provide the boys the opportunity that they need to gain that success. So the advanced placement program is just one thing, though, that we have in our basket in order to ensure that academic excellence is right there for our cadets.
Let me ask you a little bit more about the AP or academic placement, advanced placement. You talked about the exam. Exactly what does that mean? How does that work for them once they enter college?
You know, that's a great question. And the College Board, again, the same people who produce the SAT test, they have a certifying exam in each of those subjects. So we talked about having chemistry advanced placement here at the Marine Military Academy. Typically in May of each year, there will be a specific day for each subject, English, chemistry, physics, you name it, that they will take that test. And it's very well controlled, just like the SAT or the ACT would be, so that there's no advanced studying for exactly what's on it or anything like that. And every student across the country and really across the world is going to take that test at that time on that day. If they score a qualifying score, which is deemed to be a 3 out of a 5-point scale, so the test goes from 1 to 5 as far as scores are concerned. If they get a 3 or higher, then most colleges will accept that for college level credit. A 3 may result in 3 hours or sometimes 6 hours worth of college level credit in that particular discipline. a 5 can sometimes result in as much as 12 to 15 hours worth of college level credit in that particular discipline.
So that's a significant savings then for parents that enroll their kids in schools that have that focus on as many AP classes as we do here at the Marine Military Academy.
Absolutely. The savings can be huge. We have had, for example, our cadets walk out after the dual enrollment and advanced placement programs, and we'll talk about dual enrollment here in a minute, but where they're walking into college, having never set foot on a college campus, is basically a sophomore. They've already got 30 college credit hours under their belt.
That's fantastic.
It really is incredible what these cadets can do, taking advantage of these resources that are available to them. And you know, the opportunity is there, and our boys really grab a hold of that opportunity and make the most out of it. While we're on that, you know, I brought up dual enrollment. Let me bring that up a little bit, because that's another opportunity for excellence for our boys. The dual enrollment program is something that we do through the University of Texas System Schools. Right now, we're partnered with the University of Texas at Brownsville. And our teachers in our Marine Military Academy classrooms are able to offer college-level courses for our cadets. And what that allows them to do is, much like with the advanced placement program, is to not only earn some high school credit for a course, but also to extend beyond that because of the rigor and the level of excellence that's been determined in that particular curriculum and instructional sequence, to provide the kids the opportunity to earn college level credit in the course, you know, that they might be taking at that time in the dual enrollment program. Presently, again, we offer dual enrollment opportunities in the math department, the English department, the social sciences department, and the foreign language department. So in all of these different areas, while he's in here at our Marine Military Academy classrooms with our phenomenal Marine Military Academy teachers, he's also getting a legitimate transcript score that transfers to any university that he may want to go to. With a college level class. So, you know, hypothetically speaking, let's say a young man takes English 3, well, he'd get Composition 1 and American Literature. Then in English 4, he'd get Composition 2 and British Literature. If he does the same thing with college algebra and trigonometry and Spanish and political science, I mean, it's not hard to see that very, very quickly he can rack up a significant number of quality college credit hours that allow him to move on at the college of his choice beyond just those entry-level courses that we all have to take once we get to college.
Let me ask you a specific question about dual enrollment. Again, we want to help our audience better understand all of these opportunities, because
Sure.
that really is what we're talking about, significant opportunities for our cadets. So what is the criteria? What do we have to do? What do you have to do as the instructional leader to ensure that we have the quality staff, that we have the quality programs to meet the criteria for dual enrollment?
Again, much like where the College Board certifies our advanced placement programs, the partnering institution, in this case the University of Texas System, verifies the quality of our textbook, of our curriculum, and our instruction. We actually have department chairs from those individual departments, English, math, foreign language, and social sciences, come out and visit our teachers in the classroom in the process of instruction to ensure that they are implementing the curriculum in a manner that meets the standards of higher education. And so we have that really as our certifying body supporting us, that University of Texas System backing us up, saying these are quality courses. And keep in mind, it's not just a Marine Military Academy transcript. When they take those classes, they're actually enrolled at that higher education institution, and they are receiving they are developing a transcript at that institution that when they then, apply to college, they request a transcript from that University of Texas System school to go along with their Marine Military Academy transcript.
Again, so that's where the term dual enrollment comes from.
Absolutely. They are both dually enrolled here at the Marine Military Academy and at that partnering institution of higher education. And it's a great, great program.
Now, you mentioned Mandarin Chinese, and I know that that's one of the areas that the Marine Military Academy sets itself at a higher level, raise the bar by actually bringing somebody from China to teach that course. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, I'd love to. We're extremely proud of our Mandarin program, and what makes our Mandarin program really unique and, in my opinion, sets us apart from a lot of other programs that you may find across the country is that, one, we're offering Mandarin, which not everybody does, and then two, our teacher is actually a native Chinese instructor. She is an individual that I personally went over to China. We visited Beijing and Shanghai, some other cities, interviewed hundreds of applicants that were interested in coming over and working with us as a visiting teacher to bring both not only the language but the culture in an authentic manner to the Marine Military Academy. And our instructor, Ms. Li Bing, is absolutely phenomenal. She brings everything that we would hope from the latest in instructional strategies and a complete understanding of pedagogy, all the way to those little nuances that someone in the United States who is certified and qualified to teach Mandarin just may not be able to do because they weren't born and raised there and immersed in the culture from the very, very first day.
Again, that's just an excellent example of some of the ways that MMA goes that extra step to provide quality, excellence in education.
You know, the experience that is there for these boys in that class and in the other courses that we offer is really, in my opinion, second to none, because the little details, just like, is your Mandarin instructor someone that truly understands the culture, understands the fine details of the language that might be lost on someone else? She brings that into the classroom every day. We have the same type of situation in our Spanish language courses. And then, of course, you know, our English, math, science, history, technology teachers, they're at the same extremely high level. And I could not be more proud of what they do in offering those high levels of excellence, that standard in every single course that we offer. And in these higher level courses that allow for college placement, college advancement, it's just a really unique opportunity for our boys while they're in high school to show that they are college prepared.
Let's talk about the culture, for example. Can you give our audience a taste of, and I say that word taste for a reason, a taste of what our boys are able to experience in terms of culture?
Sure. You know, there is the culture that we have been talking about in the different classes where they are learning about a new culture around the world in the classroom. And that's certainly a valuable part of the education here at the Marine Military Academy. It's something that's unique. But there's also another side to that, another element that's at the Marine Military Academy that's really difficult to duplicate. And as a boarding school that adheres to the standard of Marine excellence, when they're in the barracks, or they're going to lunch at the mess hall, or they're in the classroom, or they're out in town on the weekend, they truly have a global community of cadets. We have boys that are from Russia, China, different countries out of Africa, Panama, different countries in South America, all over the United States. There truly is a world melting pot of cultures here at the Marine Military Academy that they experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter what activity they're in, just in the association with their peers. Then when you couple that with the culture of the Marine Corps and that standard of excellence, that every adult that's put in front of them is modeling those standards of excellence, of integrity, of commitment, it really creates a very, very unique environment that fosters success in every one of our cadets.
Again, I think that's something that's fairly unique to MMA, and we just have so many opportunities. The Marine ties, the Marine staff that we have that have a world experience coming in to assist us as well. Excellent program.
Sure. On that topic, Alan, I was just sitting here thinking, going, what is it that really provides another level of educational opportunity to our cadets? And I'd be remiss if I didn't just for a minute bring up our leadership programs. And the leadership programs fit into this issue and concept of excellence, just like a hand in a glove. When we stop to think about a traditional school environment, they have a class president and a class vice president and a secretary, and usually those are things that are voted on by the student body. And, I don't know what your experience is, but at my school, that was really kind of a popularity contest. Who promises that, we're going to get extra Cheetos at lunch? At the Marine Military Academy, we have a very different system. We have a rank structure, just like in the Marine Corps, that our cadets are able to work their way up through and achieve that level of recognition and responsibility. As we know, we have a cadet battalion commander who is the highest ranking cadet at the Marine Military Academy, all the way down to squad leaders. There's literally hundreds of opportunities for each of these cadets as they're at the Marine Military Academy to work their way up through increasing levels of rank and responsibility. Having that responsibility is earned. It's identified by how hard they're working, how well they're doing in the classroom, and exhibited followership at the beginning. And as they move through that, their drill instructor, the commandant of cadets, the superintendents, with input from the faculty and staff, provide them the opportunity to gain those leadership skills that really aren't an opportunity for very many other kids their age. We've got young men as young as in the 9th grade that are responsible for a group of boys, making sure that they do the right thing every single day, of course with the supervision and mentorship of their drill instructor and assistant drill instructor.
I found it just awesome to watch those cadet leaders at the beginning of the year talk about and demonstrate, showing the pride they have in developing their goals and so forth for their individual companies. They really take that charge seriously. They feel an enormous amount of pride in having that rank and being able to be leader.
Sure, and what makes it special is that it is earned. And that's what, another thing that the Marine Military Academy is all about is what you do here, you earn. And it's meaningful because of it. The self-esteem and the confidence that's gained while you're at the Marine Military Academy is not artificial. It's something that comes through hard work, dedicated effort, and commitment to excellence every single day. I like to think that it's easier to achieve that excellence here than anywhere else, though, because of the fact that we have these small classes, we have these programs that are available to them, and a dedication in the faculty and the staff, the drill instructors, in modeling and supporting our cadets every single day that allows them to achieve success that is difficult to replicate anywhere else.
You think about all these things that happen here at the Marine Military Academy, and we talked about leadership, but it also shows in the drill instructors, the teachers, as they all gather for morning colors, for example, and watch the cadets, led by cadets, march in, do the colors and so forth. I mean, an enormous amount of pride in stepping back and letting them lead. It
sounds a little corny sometimes, but I like to say that our faculty and our drill instructors are not just a sage on the stage, and our cadets are not just empty vessels that we're spilling information into. We model those behaviors that we expect, and the cadets are provided real, authentic opportunities to lead and succeed. And when they're maybe not as successful as we like to, there's a support system in place that helps them learn, develop, and grow so that they do reach those standards of excellence that we wish for every single young man that walks through our doors.
Is there anything else that you'd like to cover in terms of a focus on excellence that we haven't covered to this point?
Well, you know, there's one more thought that I have that just kind of highlights our concern for our cadets and their success as they move on into the post-secondary or college university environment. And that's, all states have graduation requirements, and they tell you that you have to have English 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a certain amount of maths. And the Marine military goes above and beyond that because we really do want to ensure that our cadets have the tools, academic and personal, to be successful beyond that. We've talked about some of the key programs for those cadets that are, achieving at the highest levels. But one that we require all cadets to participate in is we require an additional course in just English composition in addition to the regular English courses that we offer. We all know that no matter what university you go to, they're going to have that freshman English or freshman composition class. If you read the newspapers and stuff, that's the big weed out course, and whether it is or it isn't is obviously up for debate. But we don't think you can prepare too much, too well, in order to be successful in your ability to communicate in writing. And so we require all cadets that are going to graduate from the Marine Military Academy to have an additional course that's patterned after those freshman English composition classes to, number one, ensure that they have mastered the skills that are necessary in a business environment or a medical environment or whatever type of vocation that they may have once they get out and they have their families and they're being productive citizens. But a little bit before that, to ensure that if it's true, our guys aren't one of the ones that's caught in that weed out trap with English composition or freshman English at the university level. So we want to make sure that our guys are as prepared as they can be to go in there and not just compete, but out-compete all the other kids that are going to be sitting in that class with them.
Obviously you take your job very seriously. You've gone that extra measure to look at all those details to ensure that our kids are successful.
Well, that's our goal, and I think that we meet that goal day in and day out. And so it's certainly an exciting thing, I think, that we do here at the Academy. And I have absolute confidence on graduation day when those boys walk across the stage and they shake the guest speaker's hand on one end and they hug their drill instructor as they're walking off that stage on the other end, that they are prepared to meet whatever challenge may face them in the future.
Let's talk for a minute. We're known as the Marine Military Academy. What percentage of kids, obviously, we've talked a lot today about preparing kids for college. What percentage actually go into a military branch or go to college? Can you give us kind of an example of what those numbers might look like?
Sure. The vast majority of our students, in some years it's 100%, in most years the average is probably around 97% of our cadets, our graduating cadets, go on to higher learning. They go to a university or a college to continue their education. In some years, we may have one or two boys out of a graduating class that decide that they want to take a break from school and they may enlist in one of the branches of the service. But we're talking a fairly small percentage, 2, 3, 4% that maybe do that on an annual basis. Like I say, 96, 97, 98% of our boys are going to go on immediately from leaving the Marine Military Academy into a higher education institution. Out of that, it really depends from year to year, but we may see 5, 6, 7 of those that decide to choose a ROTC option of some type, either at a service academy like the Naval Academy or West Point, Air Force Academy or Coast Guard Academy. or they may take a ROTC option like you would find at Texas A&M with the Corps of Cadets or the Citadel or VMI. But that's, again, probably on any given year not much more than, I'd say, 15% that immediately choose a military path of some type, with the majority of those choosing a commissioning route that allows them to go into the service as an officer through an ROTC program.
Well, so this is really a very nice marriage of all of the leadership and training and everything that's gone into building the Marine Corps into what it is today, and giving our kids that structure and so forth, plus all the added value that you talked about, all the extra things we do to ensure that our kids are successful. So it really is a good marriage of these two programs coming together to do everything possible to prepare those kids to be successful.
Absolutely. You know, it just is a situation that is a perfect environment for citizen development, leadership development, academic development, and really life development. It all marries together to create a well-rounded citizen that is going to have whatever opportunities that they want to take available to them.
It's interesting also on weekends to see just how many cadets are involved in community service every single weekend.
You know, thousands of hours every single year. I think last year we had over 3,000 hours of community service that was performed by our cadets. That they're engaged in everything from organizing and sponsoring blood drives for our community, in community beautification projects, to supporting a host of different other nonprofit organizations such as Loaves and Fishes and Boy Scouts, and you name it. Our cadets are out there doing it. They're learning every single day that duty before self, community before self, and that giving back sometimes is the greatest reward. They absolutely live that, and you know what they take out of that, it's not 100% altruistic. I have to admit that. What they take out of that is they have a new appreciation in a lot of cases for the privilege that they have that's being provided to them by their parent, by their association with an institution like the Marine Military Academy, and an understanding that they can give more to a community, to an environment, to an individual. And it's something really, really neat to see. And I'm going to call it a real star in our program. It's the community service program that we have.
Fantastic. Let's talk for a minute. We know that a percentage of the cadets that arrive here, the young men that arrive here, need a little more, need that system of support. Can you talk about the systems of support we have in place to ensure that every cadet has an equal opportunity at being successful?
I absolutely can. And you know, that again supports the whole concept of excellence. We don't want to see a young man who maybe walks in who has some weaknesses and some skills for whatever reason. That doesn't matter to us what the reason is. What we want to do is see him, when he walks across that stage on graduation day, have achieved the same level of excellence that maybe a young man who came in with every advantage and opportunity and is on that same playing field at the end of the race, because that's what we're really interested in. And the exciting thing that we have, it goes back to talking about this relationship between the drill instructor, the teacher, and the cadet. We have multiple opportunities on a daily basis and on a quarterly basis where we communicate in that triangle between the drill instructor, the teacher, and the cadet to ensure that everybody knows exactly what the standard is, what needs to be done by each of those three people to ensure that cadet is meeting that standard. If there's a need for additional assistance, we have tutorials that are available where they can go see any teacher they want to. If John Butler is their biology teacher and they say, you know, gosh, I just can't really understand that guy, then go see Mr. Aylshire in the afternoon if they want to and get that extra assistance. A whole extra period, a class period a day, is dedicated to just helping kids with their homework, with gaining the understanding of a concept that we're trying to assist them with, or in catching up. And that's a very powerful thing that's available to them there. The drill instructor is an integral part of that. He understands what's going on. He knows what the assignments are on a daily basis. He knows on a daily basis when the cadet is struggling with assignments, and is then able to, in the barracks, assign him maybe some more senior cadets that are more proficient and skilled in that particular discipline to help that young man with his homework, to study for exams and do those types of things during that closed study period for 2 hours every evening. What we offer from a support system is really phenomenal. And, we may not be aware of it in all cases, but like right now, I've got a group of young men that are really struggling in one of the math courses, and we've opened up, with the cooperation of the military department, an extra period in the morning before colors in order to allow them to receive additional tutorial instruction to help try and catch them up, bring them up to speed, so that, again, they achieve that same level of excellence that every other cadet does.
That's absolutely awesome. Again, that extra step that all of these this team of support
Sure.
Offers to every single cadet.
Yeah, a lot of people would think that anytime you have an organization like the Marine Military Academy that has multiple departments, that you would see a lot of competition between them for time, for resources. And if we're being honest, there is a level of competition there, but the focus is always the cadet. And just like this situation, a need was identified for some additional time for this core group of boys in order to be able to catch up. And nobody squabbled about it. Everybody said, we have a need, it's good for the cadets, and that's what was done, and that's what we continue to do until every single one of those boys is caught up and is ready to be just as successful as those students who walked into that class day one prepared and ready for success.
What are some of the other areas, we've talked about this triangle of support. Is there other aspects of that? And again, you talked about this 2-hour period in the evening. Do you want to tell us a little bit more?
Sure.
What that's about?
We call it CCQ, or closed call to quarters. What it really means is dedicated study time. That time is set aside. I hate to use the term sacred, but my mind's failing me right now, so it's the only term I got. It's sacred time for study period. That time is not to be used for physical training. It's not to be used for cleaning, the room up or anything else. That time is reserved to ensure that these boys have the time they need in the evenings to do, in a normal school, what would be called homework. And whether it's doing assignments that have been assigned for out-of-class work, whether it's studying for an exam, whether it's organizing notebooks, reading the text, all these types of things that result in good scholarship are things that are reinforced in the barracks. Again, each barracks has an educational officer that is assigned based on his leadership ability, respect within the Corps of Cadets, and his ability as a student, demonstrated scholastic excellence. And he works with the drill instructor to ensure that the environment is appropriate for studying. They're able to come over to our library and work over here in small groups with tutors, however they feel best fit, with the permission of the drill instructor. And one of the more exciting things we see is this peer tutoring concept, where they're in the barracks. There's a guy that's having a hard time with world geography, and there's an outstanding cadet either in that barracks or maybe even another one, and they're paired up or they're put together in a small group in order to help them work together and master the concepts that are necessary, develop the skills that are necessary in order to be successful not only in that class, but in subsequent courses.
Well, again, that's a very structured environment. If we were to compare and contrast that to what that young man may have seen in his own home. For example, the distractions of playing games, having siblings, doing things that are all sorts of distractors. Here in this environment, again, as you mentioned, everybody is focused on that cadet and ensuring their success.
It's important to remember that in the barracks, in the library, there are no video games, there is no television, there's not these normal modern day distractors. Your girlfriend's not calling you. None of these things are happening during that CCQ time frame. The drill instructors lock the TV room, they lock the computer games up. That's not available. It's not there to distract them from what their task is at hand, which is preparing themselves to be successful at the college level.
I know that's a tough thing for parents today to deal with. It's something that all the kids are talking about in public schools in particular. All the latest games, all the latest things, all the distractions that can happen in that environment. But this closed environment, this boarding school, if you will, really gives us the opportunity to help focus. These are 4 years that they will be so focused, they will be fully prepared to go to college and have the best opportunity for the rest of their life.
It is demonstrated success. We have a long history of seeing our young men go out into the university environment, and they get there, they wake up in the morning, they get themselves ready, they go take the morning classes, they then go to their own self-imposed CCQ, and what we hear back from them is, gosh, my roommate thinks college is hard, and I've got all this extra time. I don't know what the deal is. And it's just the fact that they've developed habits that allow them to be organized, allow them to be efficient, and they're able to walk in there and they just achieve without even trying hard, because it's how they've lived for the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And it's just like me waking up in the morning and brushing my teeth. Those guys wake up in the morning, they take care of their personal business, they look good when they walk out the door, they project the image that you would hope that they would project to their professors and their peers, and then they do the right things when distractions and challenges are presented in front of them, because it's what they know to do. It's how they live their life. It's really an exciting thing as they transform from being a kid who's maybe even addicted to video games or texting or whatever with the cell phone. They're in a situation that I'm not going to say they won't do those things, but they put it in its proper place, they prioritize it, and they find themselves, like I say, what we get back from our graduates is, you know, my gosh, you guys were telling me how hard college was going to be, and you know, if you just give yourself CCQ, it's not bad. It's real easy.
Well, as you mentioned, it's that 2-hour time frame that is totally focused on studying. That's hard to achieve.
It is.
In a normal household.
It is. It really, really is. You're in an environment that you just almost can't control all the variables that are bombarding kids in today's highly technological society, highly social society. You know, I almost don't know how you can do it in the home and still have a positive relationship with your son or daughter. So it's something that we are able to do because of the unique structure, the unique facilities that supports the kids. I mean, ultimately, that's what it's all about, is supporting them, helping them achieve their own personal success.
Yeah, well, we're still talking about opportunities for success and so forth. You know, we're located right here across from the Harlingen International Airport, right across the street from Texas State College, University of Texas at Brownsville, about 35 miles or so, 35 minutes from here. South Padre Island, about an hour or so from here. Do you want to talk about the partnerships, the cooperative programs that, again, some of the unique factors that make MMA the very special place that it is?
Absolutely. You know, Because of our location, because of our unique nature, we've already talked about our dual enrollment partnership with the University of Texas System. We also have a phenomenal relationship with Texas State Technical College, which you mentioned is just right next door. It's not really part of our core curriculum, but for those students who are interested, we have the ability for them to go over there and take advantage of many of the great programs that are available, such as medical technology, auto mechanics, aerospace technology, a lot of these types of things that maybe they have a unique interest in that supplements the strong college preparatory education that we provide here on campus and in partnership with the University of Texas System. They can go over there and take an enrichment course or a series of enrichment courses that maybe supports them in a hobby or potentially even gives them a leg up. You know, if I'm thinking about being an engineer and I go over there and I take aerospace technology classes or medical technology classes or something along those lines, I get some hands-on experience working with lab equipment, tools, just a unique environment that maybe gives me a leg up over some of the guys that have always just had their nose in a book and haven't had the same level of enrichment that are going to be in that class at the University of Texas or MIT with me. And so we're in a situation to where we're able to offer that to them, and it very nicely complements a lot of what we're doing. And that's just one example. When you think about, you mentioned our close proximity to the Gulf of Mexico and the beach, we've got some great opportunities there. We have a marine science class. And when I say marine science, a lot of times people go, oh, they're learning about dolphins. Not at all. Our marine science class is the science and the engineering of sailing. And so these boys, they're learning navigation, they're learning the physics associated with sailing, buoyancy and force, all these things that support our regular academic courses. Plus, on the weekends, they have mandatory sailing field trips where they go up to Port Mansfield, which is just about 30-40 minutes away, and they're out there on the weekends actually sailing Marine Military Academy vessels and getting hands-on experience doing all the stuff that they're learning about in the lab. That is just a phenomenal thing for them to be able to do that. You couple that with the fact that we offer scuba certification opportunities for these boys. On the weekends, they can work with Mr. Palomaro, who's our assistant dean and counselor. He has just about every scuba instructor certification you can imagine. And he goes out there with licensed captains in order to provide these boys that opportunity, complete enrichment that allows them to gain experiences that, you know, really hard to get anywhere else. And then, of course, our aerospace program. We not only offer the aerospace class where they learn all of the things plus tons more than what you would get in a normal ground school for learning how to fly, but they can also then in the afternoons and on the weekends right next door go over to the airport, and they're actually flying aircraft working on their private pilot certification. Once they get that, then they go into their instrument certifications, their multi-engine certifications, their instructor pilot certifications. They can take that as far as their interests allow them to. Interests and time are the only two limiting factors.
You know, as I was listening to you talk about all of these different things, again, I was wondering, you know, how do these cadets have time for all of that? But then I go back to the compare and contrast. They could have been playing games.
They could have.
They could have been watching movies.
Exactly.
But instead, they're learning to sail. They're learning to fly. They're taking advantage of all the opportunities that you've made available here at the Marine Military Academy.
It's really, really neat. When you think about the opportunities for developing a well-rounded person, there's the excellence in academics that we see that's demonstrated on the AP scores. In our recent accreditation visit, we continue to be reinforced with the idea that the Marine Military Academy academics provides excellence. When we see what happens through our leadership programs and all the things that go on in the military department, that support these boys there in their personal development and their development of habits and leadership and self-discipline, and then you tie that in with all of the other things such as the aerospace and the scuba and the marine science and the community service. I mean, my gosh, it's awesome. There's just no other way to describe it. A young man who comes in here and takes advantage of all those things, which most do, walks out the door and they are an absolute superstar compared to their peers.
Well, there's no time. There's no time to be distracted, to do things that most parents wouldn't want your son to be doing anyway.
No, and it goes back to what we were talking about with our alumni who, go out into college environment. They go to class, they do all those things, they separate themselves from their peers, and at the end of the day, they're doing all those things. They're participating in intramurals, they're getting engaged in the student government at that level, in clubs, and they're still coming back going, I don't know what I'm going to do with all my time. And it really comes down to the fact that they've developed that self-discipline, they've developed that ability to organize themselves, their day, their time, those time management skills that are so critical no matter what you do. And it all just works together into a situation to where they almost can't help but be successful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there any other courses you'd like to talk about that the Marine Military Academy might have or offer that?
Well, we kind of talk about some of the guys at the top end. We talk about how we help some of those guys who, when they come in, are maybe struggling for whatever reason. And with that, we offer some courses, that boost them and allow them to achieve greatness from an academic perspective quickly. We have classes such as math models that we've put into place that allows some of our kids who come in that are deficient in their math skills to get in that class and understand that the point of that is not to track them along a lower level. The point of that class is to take them and accelerate them to where they're caught up and on the same level as our highest achievers. And so we've got some courses like that. Our English composition for all cadets fits into that category. It's there to boost their skill level so that when they walk into that college classroom, that first freshman English class that everybody worries so much about, they do it with a level of confidence and a level of preparation that stands out above everybody else that's in the course. And so we have a number of things like that we do that help these kids. And a unique program that we offer here at the Academy that fits into that is our Marine Military Academy online program. We have the ability, with a curriculum that we have supported, that is facilitated by our Marine Military Academy teachers, for a student, if he needs to catch up and make up for some lost time, or if he's just motivated and says, you know what, because of how I was scheduled when I was a 7th grader at Podunk Middle School, I'm not going to be in a position to take Calculus AP, and I want to do that. Marine Military Academy Online allows him to accelerate his education, instill a quality curriculum, and move up to that level that he wants to achieve. So we've got a lot of programs here that help them achieve the success and the goals that each of them set for themselves.
Can you talk for a minute about class size? Specifically, you mentioned math models as a course to accelerate those kids. Can you talk about the class size and how that's important?
Oh, it's hugely important. If you're sitting in a class with 20 plus kids, the amount of individual attention that you can give to each of them in a regular class period is really fairly limited. And, a quality teacher can monitor that and can focus their attention on those who are struggling the most. But that's completely different. A couple of years ago, I actually piloted the math models class. I set it up. I developed a curriculum. I taught the first class that was offered. We try and keep those math models classes down around 5-6 students. That allows us to be in a situation to where every single period, every student is touched and given attention by that instructor. I know, and those teachers know, every day what that kid is struggling with. Every kid is struggling with, what they need additional support with, and when we can go faster and when we need to slow down. And it really leads to a level of efficiency and effectiveness that just can't be achieved in a larger classroom. And you know, we try and do that with the majority of our courses. Our student-teacher ratio across the board is 1 teacher for every 10 students. And I'd say our largest classes are maybe 15, 16 students. And then, of course, we have some of our smaller classes and more rigorous disciplines and subjects that get down into that 4, 5, 6, 7 students.
Well, that's incredible, again, that we're able to do that.
Sure. It's part of what we believe is necessary to provide the service to our cadets to ensure that they achieve the level of success that is expected.
Can you talk about for a minute the different ways that you evaluate student need, college readiness, and listen to cadets in terms of manipulating, moving, charting the course forward to ensure that we're meeting the needs of every cadet?
You know, our evaluation of their academic progress and standing starts with their transcript. And we look at that and say, okay, this is what a piece of paper tells us. So when we get a new cadet, we see what that piece of paper tells us. And it says, here's the classes he's had and his level of performance. We really don't know what that means, though. Every school has different standards. There's a lot of variability in grading, and you know, what is U.S. history or Algebra 1 in one school may be a completely different standard than in another. So in the first several weeks of class here at the Marine Military Academy, we do lots of individualized diagnostic testing for each individual subject, each individual course. And we're not shy about identifying a student that maybe needs to be more advanced, a student that's appropriately placed, or a student that maybe needs some additional work and needs his schedule to provide him the opportunity to catch up. When we identify those types of needs, we contact the parent, we discuss with the parent what the implications of our recommendation are, what we think we can do. We establish a plan in order to meet the goals of both the parent and the cadet, the long-term goals, and ensure that we place them in the opportunity where they can be successful. And so that's the first place it starts. Then on an ongoing basis, we have a full-time college placement counselor who does nothing but work with our cadets on establishing long-term goals for college and career, identifying specific interests and personality traits and characteristics, and working with the registrar to ensure that their goals are being met, that they're being updated regularly and informed of how their performance is matching with their goals and what they need to do in order to be able to achieve the level of success that they're telling us they want to achieve, and tying all those things together and giving them the education on the college application process, the college opportunities that are out there, and guiding them through the thousands of different higher education opportunities that they may have based on their unique interests. And so, you know, we're able, because we get to know these young men so well, to help guide them. We don't make decisions for them, but we are able to guide them and help them with their parents make the decisions that best fit them, whether it be a large college or a small college, whether it be a local institution or one that's a little bit farther away from home, whether it's one that is highly structured and disciplined, like what you might find at a service academy or a VMI, or whether it's one of our mega universities like the University of Texas or University of Michigan or one of these where you've got 50,000 students. And all of that goes into helping these young men and these families make decisions that best support them in achieving their long-term life goals.
Can you talk about some of the ways that you drill down to the cadet level. That you can. That do you have regular meetings with cadets?
We do. College placement does that all year long. She's calling in, particularly in the early part of an academic year, she's working those seniors hard. She's also talking with the juniors and in the early part of the year and in the later part of the year, because the seniors, you're helping them focus, you're helping them make those decisions. They're getting their applications together, their teacher recommendations, their essays, all of those things. She is hand-holding them through that process. She's not doing it for them, but she's ensuring that they're on track. With the juniors, she's showing them what's coming. She's continuing to help them refine their choices, making sure that they stay on track with their course selections here at the Marine Military Academy, with their extracurricular selections to highlight the uniqueness of them as individuals. And then in the spring, she continues working with that, all the way down with our 8th graders. She has scheduled time where she works with our 8th graders, where she introduces them to the college concept. She encourages them to develop college notebooks and start doing research on colleges, and she gives them assignments along those lines where they look at large colleges and small colleges and the differences in the programs they offer and the student services that are available to them and all those types of things, so that they get excited about this college opportunity that's still 5 years away for them.
Well, again, that's phenomenal to start that detailed a process at that age.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know I had my one obligatory conference that lasted about 5 minutes with my college counselor when I was in high school, and it was, called me down to the office. I didn't know what I was even going down there for. He looked at me and said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to go to college." He said, "Well, you better study harder," and sent me on my way. And that was my advisement in my entire high school career. And things are changing so rapidly. Schools are becoming so competitive. Admissions criteria change what seems like almost on a daily basis. And Miss Ferris, our college placement counselor, she stays on top of that. She's involved in the National Associations of College Admissions Counselors, the State Association of College Admissions Counselors. She has personal relationships with the college admissions staffs at many of our major universities and most of the ones that our boys typically tend to go to. I mean, we provide a level of support there for these kids through our staff, principally through our registrar, Ms. Carlisle, and Ms. Ferris, our college placement counselor, that in my opinion is untouched anywhere else. They don't get the John Butler 5-minute experience. They get day in, day out exposure to the college placement office, to that level of advisement, starting in 8th grade, all the way through, making sure that everything goes in that FedEx envelope for that college application to the school of their dreams.
Well, again, that's an enormous, I had the same kind of experience. Here, take a test. Okay, here's the college you probably need to go to. Thank you. Yep. See ya.
Yeah.
So it was, we have an awesome program here.
Oh, it's great. It's just great.
When we started out the program today, you mentioned our boys, and you've said that a number of times, our boys, and that's something that I hear at the mess hall. It's something that I hear throughout the campus. So it really is a very close family. It's something that it seems like every staff member feels a very close relationship with every cadet.
If you don't think they're our boys, you don't belong at the Marine Military Academy. And you won't be here very long, because they are our boys. They're our responsibility. They're the ones that do the work. They're the ones that achieve. But just like parents, we're very proud of their success. We absolutely believe in what they're doing, and we believe in supporting them in any way we possibly can to ensure that they have every opportunity to achieve their life's goals, to be great citizens, to be great people, and to stand out in a positive way above their peers. That's what we're about.
again, for all the parents that are watching out there, I've been here a little while, but I continue to be amazed at the level of detail, the extra effort that you in particular go about each and every day to ensure that our kids are college ready, are successful, are prepared for life. So thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And we'll see you again. I'm sure we'll have further conversations throughout the year, and we'll let our parents tell us what kinds of things they'd like to know more about.
I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.